Hello, dear friends. So, another day, another exploration, another bike ride in the morning. And I'm going to ask you to bear with me. I've got the manual bike today. Woo! And yes, so a little more effort required. But that's okay. The thing of it is it's a beautiful morning. Don't get me wrong. It's probably about 85. And it's about 9:30. I haven't had any breakfast yet. I did have a banana and a little bit of water. But in this hot humidity, for me as an American expat, the humidity, it gets difficult if you talk a lot in it. So you'll hear me clearing my throat, and I have to apologize in advance for that. Plus the effort of riding the bicycle and blah, blah, blah. I did take a sip of a nice cold tea before I began this vlog. So hopefully it'll be okay for a little while. But when you're in this humidity, for me personally, it affects my throat. So the more I talk, the worse it gets. Phlegm and whatever. Anyways, let's proceed. So another turn, which I was like, I'm not really going to go as far on the manual bike as I would on the e-bike. So I'm kind of local, and I made a zip and a turn and a twist and came onto this bridge, this cute little bridge, which is really cool. And so I was like, it has a little bit of shade from this bamboo here for a few more minutes anyways. And so I thought I'd stop and do a vlog. You know, the thing about Vietnam is it's a couple things, and the reason I hesitate is because of the oddity of how things work here in Vietnam. So you got these wild strands of bamboo, and mixed in with all the rest of the foliage. Got bamboo here, bamboo there, bamboo, bamboo, bamboo. Big bamboo here, bamboo there. So they use it a lot in various old time construction methods, you know, when old school, when they used to make a lot of stuff out of bamboo. Got the dog in front on the little flat part of the front of the motorbike. See a lot of that. I've seen dogs riding on the back of those motorbikes, not strapped down or anything, zipping through traffic in Da Nang and Hoi An. Crazy. Back to the bamboo. So you can use it to make little overhangs and tables and chairs. And, you know, if you were to do a Google search or a vlog of like Vietnamese craftsmen crafting, you would be absolutely amazed at what they can do with this bamboo in terms of making baskets and chairs, and they're really, really skillful when it comes to that. I've looked at vlogs of Vietnamese in the northern areas of the country, near a river or stream, that have built entire homes and farms and fish ponds, and again, the chairs, the baskets, the everything out of bamboo. The funny thing is, up there, as I just described, it's all wild. I imagine you can buy a plot of land up there, which nobody would ever want to. There's no roads or electricity or anything. But they will buy the plots of land, and then they will go in there, clear it out, build like, I don't know, a summer cottage out of bamboo. It's really cool to see. I'll tell you what, I will find some links and I'll put them in the description so you can check it out. It's really fascinating stuff, and it is quite enjoyable to watch. So I'll throw some of those in the description. The other thing I want to mention is, although you see these wild strands of bamboo here, there, and everywhere, when I talk to my wife, who's knowledgeable about the country, being a local, of course, she will tell me that somebody owns it. Somebody owns or claims rights to this bamboo. So if you're not in the jungles where, you know, nobody owns anything, you feel free to cut all the bamboo you want. But like out here where there are homes and villages and stuff, somebody lays claim to this stuff, so that if you were to just arbitrarily go in here and start cutting down this bamboo, somebody would come and yell at you like, this is my bamboo. And it's like, the heck you say? But indeed, somebody has some sort of unwritten rules and rights to this bamboo, so you just can't cut it down and take it home. It's crazy. These wildflowers, I think these are hibiscus maybe, growing here. So I thought this bridge was really cool, and I just took a little turn and I thought, wow, can you fish here? And this is another thing. Now they're running what looks like, maybe it's an old power line or it's a new power line. Oh, yikes. And it runs all the way down the edge, long bridge, and I think it goes right at that point into maybe a home or something over here. This is crazy. Yeah, weird. As you can see, there's no access to come down and get in here and fish. It's impossible. However, on this side, there is. You can come down this little dirt embankment, maybe shovel out a flat spot or something, and get yourself situated. What I like is that I can see fish from here. I can see tilapia in the water from here. So they're all hanging around the edge of the bank there. And I see a bunch of baby fish too, so they're spawning right there. Not sure if you can see it. Yeah, there's 3 or 4 tilapia swimming around that area. And there are about 1 million little babies around them. So yeah, this looks promising. And it's not far from home, so I'm going to remember this spot. And I'll come out here and try to catch some fish. You know, I'm always talking about fishing. Now, I'm going to go a little ways and push the bike, which makes it difficult to use one hand to push the bike and the other hand to vlog. But I saw this structure as well. I think this is part of a temple. Really oddly shaped. But I think this road here comes around to it. So even though it's very warm and very humid, I'm gonna see if we can walk down over there. I want to walk over here first because I see another little bridge, and maybe a little further. Oh, that leads to a main road. So I see another little bridge that I want to check out. Sometimes the smaller areas are better in terms of fish containment. Let's at least walk down to this one. Looks like they just put in this road. Yeah, this is a newer section or something. You can see the leftover mounds of dirt. This must connect. Yeah, so I'm going to assume, based on what I'm seeing right now, that this bridge is new. Let's assume it's less than a year old. Let's not do that. Let's say, based on these stanchions and the way the road looks, on my experience, I would say it probably around a year old, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. When they do construction in Vietnam, they'll clear out the weeds and stuff, grasses from the edge of the road in order to put these guardrails, stanchions, and sign. That's a new sign. And in a developing country, you'll see that when the job is done, they're done. There's no blowing or sweeping or getting this shit off this new clean road. And a lot of the local Vietnamese villagers and stuff, quite frankly, are lazy. If it's not in their immediate purview or part of their immediate property, land, they don't take care of a whole lot. So you can see this whole road needs to be like just with a push broom or whatever. They don't have push brooms here in Vietnam. That's another thing. You know, sweep and push all this grass and clear this road. But because it's motorbike dependent and motorbike majority society, see this little middle part? It's enough for a motorbike. Who cares about the rest of it? But yeah, somebody should come out here and sweep this. This also gives me an indication that this is very new, because this doesn't look like it's been here for too long. Looks like somebody came and cleared out some bamboo right here. Could have been a storm, but I'm going to assume somebody came and chopped out some choice pieces. Let's see what's down here. This is really odd that they built this berm. I thought it was a bridge, but it's actually just a berm. I believe that's the appropriate term. Just to support the weight and structure of the road. So yeah, it's really nothing. There's another one a little further down there. Some guy down there copping a smoke in the shade. He might have been taking a shit or taking a pee. Yeah, that temple. Tell you what, get my mask back on. And if you'll bear with me, I'm gonna hop on the bike and start pedaling around that turn. So my phone's gonna drop down to the ground, view-wise, and then it'll come back up once I get going. So give me just a second. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Yeah, I have a selfie stick, so it could make it a little bit easier. I actually have a phone holder on my bike, which I could set up. This particular phone has a low vibration on the camera, so it does well when I do hook it up to the bike. But I don't have a microphone, so I can just show you a visual. I can't really speak to what I'm seeing. Yeah, temple, and then it leads into a village where there are a lot of homes and stuff. Wow. Interesting. I don't see, oh, here's the entrance. Whoa. Wow. One more second while I get off the bike. Okay. Okay. Well, they have a lock on it, so I don't know if that means that it's not in use. Cynthia. A grandmother driving some vegetables on the wild vegetables she got off the back of her on the back of her bicycle. Said hello while I was shaking the gate, and I was like, "Oh, how awesome! How friendly! How great is that?" So I said hello back. Wow. What a cool temple. You know, you can picture the monks with their straw brooms sweeping up the leaves in the courtyard and doing their monk-like business and sitting in this little bench here and having tea and talking ancient Chinese philosophy and Buddhist philosophy, none of which I believe in, mind you, or care about, but the history of it is undeniable. Let's step back for a minute. Look at these big, huge grasses on the outside of it and these awesome palms right here lining the road. Oh, those are great coconut palms, a different kind than you're used to seeing. Oh, these are really nice. This is a very nice temple area. My goodness, I don't understand why it's not in use. These grasses are huge. Look at this. Ay, 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 this is fantastic. What a beautiful view. Look at the red flowers sticking out by the edge of the temple here. And you know, these trees, these old trees here. More grasses growing over the wall from the inside. This beautiful tree here, which I'm aware of. The leaves will turn brown and then fall, as you can see, obviously. And then they grow right back, and they do that several times a year. It's almost like a Midwest, Northeast fall kind of thing, where the leaves change color in the fall and then drop, but then they don't regrow until the following spring. Well, here, these leaves will fall and then they just regrow right away because there is no four seasons here in Vietnam. Big, big, giant leafy plants here. And wildflowers growing as well. Look at these grasses. I'm sorry. They've done such an awesome job here at the temple. These are coconut palms. Giant, look at the giant, like, base stalk of these big leafy plants. Nice cool shade here. These are, I was going to say broadleaf coconut palms, but I don't think that's the appropriate description. But they are wide. They're definitely wide. And then more of these huge grasses here. I'm going to come back out here with my wife and see if we can get some. You really only need to take a piece of these. With some plants in Vietnam, you don't even have to take the root. You can just take a piece, cut a piece, and take it home and stick it in the ground and it'll grow. What I wouldn't give to have one of these palms in the yard, though. Huge swaths of bamboo across the river, or the river canal river system flows back here as well. Huge swaths of bamboo. Beautiful flowering tree here on the corner of the temple property. What a treat. Take a turn and you get this really cool treat. And then down here starts the village community area. I see a lot of homes, a few businesses popping out. Older homes. I don't honestly know what this is. I'll have to ask my wife when I get home. And this house right here looks to have some sort of turret or weird kind of... I honestly don't know the description. It fails me right now, but it's kind of weird but kind of neat all at the same time. Vietnam is such a fascinating country. Wow, this one's a little banana. Big banana plant. How about that? Just some banana plants in the midst of this. There's a lot of different foliage here, which is different kinds of trees and stuff. Visually, it's just incredibly pleasing. Yeah, look at this tree. That almost looks like something you would see in Africa with the very large branches. This rocky formation that's part of the temple here, I can't really get a good visual view of it for you. Let's try. That is really fantastic, but can't get in there to see it. And unfortunately, I don't speak Vietnamese because I could ask grandmother all about it and she would tell me all about it. She's curious. Same auntie that had the leaves on the back of her bike. There are no Westerners out here, no foreigners out here. So she's like half curious, half friendly, and half like, what in the heck is this foreigner doing here? Now that's Chuk Bung Nam Moi, which is Happy New Year, and that was several months ago, so I don't think there's been anybody here since then. Look at the wooden construction of the beams here. You know, meshed in with the brick wall and the decorative tops and the inserts here. You know, very well constructed, very nicely done. I'll bet in terms of a month, I mean, that's great the way that they drilled huge holes inside it. I'm thinking this might be teak wood, and formed the bracing for this covering to the entrance to the temple. You know, the decorative iron gates the little lanterns. Yeah, I think this is teak wood. Oh, that is very solid. That has got to be teak. And you know, teak is very expensive. And to find something this huge, it's almost like a solid cement. Now, I could be mistaken, and there's a good possibility of that these are actually cement and they were painted or stained to resemble, you know, a wood grain and or a teak. The thing about these temple areas is they're designed in terms of a feng shui to give off a sense of serenity and peace and a meditative environment for the monks who are practicing Buddhism as their religion. And I always can feel it in situations like this. There are about a dozen butterflies buzzing around that tree that I'm focused in on. Because it's a flowering tree. And you've got some huge butterflies. Looks like 2 or 3 different species, not just in that tree, but I see them around the garden. I think that there's a huge garden back there behind these buildings as well, which is not uncommon. It looks like it's been maintained and kept up. I just don't understand if this is some kind of special temple that is only occupied during certain parts of the year. I haven't a clue, but it's been a really nice little stopover on my bicycle ride today, and I really enjoyed looking at the place and sharing it with you. It's quite fantastic. It's quite a large temple too, and I'm really impressed at how well it's been constructed in terms of the entire design of it. The trees and flowering plants and everything, it's quite beautiful and quite pleasant just to even stand around and video and vlog about it and look the place over. It's just really gives you a really nice sense of aesthetics. The dark spot are the babies. About 1 million little babies and 2 tilapia right there. So yeah, again, when I zoom out, it affects the quality of my voiceover. That dark spot is the 1 million little babies and the mother and father tilapia swimming around it. So the water seems to be rich in fish. And I'll ask my wife about it, and I'll probably get, I'm hoping, the usual answer, which is, of course, it's not a problem, because I can see where you can get down here and do some fishing as well. But you have to be careful that you're not putting yourself in a position where you're creating some kind of offense, you know, fishing right outside the temple. They got everything here. Vines, giant leafy plants, grasses, trees, flowering trees, coconut palms, bamboo, a waterway. Just very, very pleasant. What a fun stop. All right, I'm going to continue on my journey for a little bit. I burned away a lot of my bicycle ride. But that's okay. When I think about in my head about the dream or the visual idea of Vietnam, culturally, of course, Buddhism is a huge part of the culture. I think probably something like 90% of the country, maybe more, are, well, many of them claim to be Buddhist but don't practice the religion in any capacity. But if you were to ask, they would say, yeah, Vietnam's 90% Buddhist. But when you think about a visual of Vietnam, you know, this, here you go. You know, this is the idea of Vietnam with temples and structures such as this and palms and all kind of different things, you know. Visually, what I mean is this is a great representation of Vietnam, in my opinion. I have no idea what these people want, why they are here. You know, one person looks like some kind of an official, and some other leader of the community or something are like, you know, what in the hell is this foreigner doing? Is he trying to break into the temple? Is he going to try to climb the wall? You know, which would be a strict offense. I would have no intentions of doing that whatsoever. Vlogging out here is probably something alien to them. I'm gonna wrap it up anyways. Couple flagpoles here as well, I think, to hang the Vietnamese flag during holidays or things of that nature. The reason I've spent so much time here is because it's just really grand. It's really glorious. And I wish I could go inside. If the gate were unlocked, that generally tells you that it's open, that the monks are in residence, and you could go in and walk around, take photos, everything. You could, maybe even sit down and have tea with the monks if you desired. But the wooden structures, the stone, the grandeur of it all, and just the little mini environment surrounding this temple really gives you a sense and an idea of kind of like what Vietnam would look like in your mind, based on even a limited understanding or experience. You could draw back on just some ancient history that you may have picked up here and there when you think about a country so distant from America and a nation that is so unique in its history, in its culture, and Vietnam has, everybody knows about the Vietnam War, but very few people know a little bit or a lot about the culture and a deeper dive into Vietnamese history, its landscape, its land, its people, its culture, which I've come to become very fond of. This is the remnants of some offerings that were made at one time in front of the temple. This could go back to Lunar New Year. It could be something recent. There are a great deal of reasons that you would host a worship service where you burn paper and different kinds of things within the understanding of the culture. Look at the way this grass has just fallen over the wall. Well, I sure hope you have enjoyed it. I better get going, and I will talk to you again soon.